Thursday, the 1st of August, 2019. Today's show, we discuss the appointment of Simon Grayson as the new Blackpool manager, the raft of new signings that have come through the door. We'll catch up on all the other news and we'll give our thoughts on how we're going to fare on the forthcoming 2019-20 season. I'm John Aspinall, this is the Seasiders podcast, episode, what are we on? 132. A new era begins.
It's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Welcome back to the Seasiders podcast, everybody. Joining in the studio tonight is, as ever, the two stalwarts of the podcast, Mr. Nick Smith. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, John.
Good evening, Tim Fielding.
Evening.
Evening. Right, it's been a while, hasn't it? Been a few weeks. We did say we'd come back with more, but we haven't. So let's get this out there just before the season starts. And it's a lot of anticipation, Nick, in it. Tomorrow, it's Thursday now, so
yeah,
2 days, the anticipation's building. It's like Christmas.
Yeah, well, it's just nice to be, we've said it before, but just nice to be looking forward to it all again. And we're going to, in the next hour or so, be talking about a lot of football-related stuff, and the stuff that we talk about off the pitch is all going to be positive rather than, you know, everything that's gone over the last few years. So, yeah, very excited.
And Tim, you said that as well, didn't you, just before, that
Yeah,
it's going to be weird just to be talking about the football.
We've spent probably 5 years being dominated by off-field activities, and it is quite a surreal experience coming here and actually thinking we're actually going to spend most of the hour talking about what goes on that pitch at 3 p.m.
You can't keep a good man down though. Carl Oyston was still in the news, wasn't he? Was it a few weeks back? He's been terminated as chairman. Was that the?
I don't think he was no longer chairman. He hadn't been chairman for quite some time, but I think there was just it was one of those things, I think, left over from the era, and it was a case of getting it dealt with and getting him off the books. But
so was he still actually an employee, or like?
He was, is the short answer, as for what I understand. I wasn't involved in what went on in relation to his removal and
sad demise. You look a bit nervous there, Tim.
Well, no,
you're not sad about it.
No, I'm if it's from the point of view, I suppose, that there's ongoing things going in relation to that, so probably least
said the better. Let's not talk about them anymore.
Right, yeah, they're done. They're part of consigned to history. So we've got a new manager, Simon Grayson. Who would have thought that was going to happen?
Yeah, it came all of a sudden, really. I'd actually seen Terry. I was in the club on the Wednesday just before, because he left on the Friday, didn't he? And I had a bit of a chat with him and Phil Horner, because we're looking to do something down the training ground, so I wanted to get some input from them. I was actually in for another reason, but just bumped into them. And everything seemed normal at that stage, but within sort of 48 hours... he'd gone, hadn't he? So
he'd gone and been replaced. So Mr. Sadler doesn't mess about, does he, Nick?
No, not at all. And like you said, it came out of the blue, but for the best for me, I think. Did a very good job in difficult circumstances, Mick Phillips. But with the new owner coming in, it kind of stepped things up a bit, didn't it? And it was a bit of a free hit last season for him. Nobody was expecting too much, but now that we're a normally run football club. I think the pressure would have been on McPhillips, and it will be on Grayson as well, results-wise. But I think Larry's probably more equipped to deal with that. He's got a good track record of getting teams out of this division. I know there was a few people having a bit of a whinge that he left us and managed Preston. It's one of those things. It's a job to him, the same as all players and what club they play for. So for me, I think he's experienced and he's going to have backing, hopefully, by the looks of it. And we'll see how he goes, but he knows the division, so it's all good for me, I think, and it was the right thing to happen.
Yeah, so just let's move on to what the owner said. Mr. Simon Sadler said it was important to act swiftly and appoint a new manager who can hit the ground running. Simon's achievements at this level and above speak for themselves. He has a proven track record of getting teams promoted from this division and has a great success at this club previously, building a team of winners and leaders who set the platform for the years that followed. As I stated on Monday, The goal is to get this club back in the Championship within the next few years, and Simon is the man to help us achieve that. Tim, so do you think Simon Grayson is the man for the job? I mean, he is Mr. League One promotion, isn't he?
He is, and sort of endorse what Nick was saying about his pedigree, and also he at this level, his contacts and his knowledge of the players who are capable of playing at this level is probably as good as anybody out there. I think if you look at the promotions he's secured, you look at the teams he's built, the evidence suggests that he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to get into that Championship.
And I think as well, if you look at where it hasn't gone so well,
Bradford and
Sunderland. Certainly Sunderland. If you've seen that documentary that was on, I think, Netflix, I'm not sure it might have you had Mourinho in charge.
What was so bad about it? I mean,
I think there was just a lot going on off the pitch.
A lot of dissent amongst very highly paid players who wouldn't toe the line.
Yeah, and similarly, probably Bradford as well. They were, really in decline. So I think it's a very different situation with him.
Well, he was only at Bradford for a very short period as well, wasn't he? And I think it was more a case of he decided he didn't want to stay as distinct from anything else, and
it was going down.
It was a bit of a basket case at the time.
When did he take Bradford over? I didn't even know he was at Bradford until someone pointed it out.
My recollection was it was last season, wasn't it? Towards the end of last season.
So was he in charge when we played them?
Not the season before this.
Right.
Gary Bowie was in charge.
Bowie won it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. So how long was he at Bradford for?
A few months.
I don't think it was long.
Okay.
I think he came in to cover. So he came in with somebody who'd left, forget who that was, and it was review at the end of the season, and he decided he didn't, as I understand it, he didn't want to stay. And obviously, as we've seen, it was a very difficult season for him as it was, so he probably saw the writing on the wall there, didn't he?
So just harking back to Simon Sedler, as he stated on Monday, obviously that was at the fans forum that we were all lucky enough to go to. Quick review, if you can, cast your mind back to that. The thing I remember was a free bar.
I was driving, I was gutted.
Yeah, you could only have one pint.
Yeah.
I stayed with you till the death, didn't I?
Yeah.
Drank him dry.
Yeah.
Well, cheers, Simon. Thanks for that.
Well, memories from it. I think obviously you got a lot of questions fired at him, and he'd only just literally arrived, so there was a lot of stuff he couldn't answer.
He kind of looked a bit drained towards the end, didn't he?
Well,
he's probably saying the same thing about 5 times.
I think he would do. We've got to remember, he's not. It's the first time he's owned a football club, isn't it? So
you're not going to have all the answers,
no,
are you?
you're not, and not necessarily. Although obviously in business he'll be used to speaking to people, but I think it was a very different environment, and there was all sorts being fired at him, and
it was also the end of a very long media day. I think he'd had interviews with Sky Sports. I think he'd been on Radio Lancashire, the Gazette. So it was a very long day, and like you say, he's probably answered those questions 5 or 6 times. But I think what for me, what came out of the forum was the people who were listening to him. He had so much support for what he's looking to achieve, and the fact that he is a Blackpool fan, and he's been brought up a Blackpool fan. He's watched those games that we all watched in the 90s and the late 80s. You've got shared history, haven't you?
Those games are not really enough to make you be a Blackpool fan, aren't you? The fare that was served in those times, it was pretty bad, wasn't it? Yeah, but then the odd little cup run.
It makes you appreciate the good times, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
but I think it was refreshingly honest. He said there's a lot to. I think it's almost like at the moment there's probably 2 budgets. There's the playing budget for bringing players in, and the what needs sorting out off the pitch budget, and they're both pretty big because there's a lot to sort out certainly off the pitch. It's a lot more than just a lick of paint around the ground. Tim will probably know more than me sort of what needs doing inside, but structurally as well with stuff in the stands. And I think we've just got to remain patient. As much as we're all positive and buzzing for the new season, not saying we write this season off, but we've got to remember there's a lot of money got to be spent off the pitch as well. And once that's done, it's laying foundations. So if not this season, hopefully the next. And we've got to get all of this sorted out. And even if you look at what they've done with Squires Gate, I don't know if you've seen the before and after pictures.
What a transformation.
It's absolutely phenomenal.
That boggled my mind when I saw that picture. It was incredible, wasn't it? The change.
It was. And to be honest, I I was in the ground on Tuesday, and on Saturday I'd gone up in the hospitality, mainly because they did that deal. It was full up there. A lot of people who were in the ground were actually up there and just upgraded. And so you're sort of in an elevated position over the pitch, but I actually walked down the east on Tuesday morning, and the pitch there looks so lush as well. I mean, it's every credit to Harry and the groundsman's team. What a good job they're doing, because it looked like a bowling green.
Yeah.
Right, so moving on to what Simon Grayson actually added. He said, when Terry made the decision on Tuesday he wanted to leave, the club contacted me to see whether I would be interested in coming back. After speaking to Simon, Michael and Ben, what's this brackets, but I didn't bother speaking to Tim. Embellished that slightly there. What that Fielding guy said I didn't really listen to. Yada, yada. I thought it was an exciting project to come back to Blackpool and try and take the club forward, especially with a brand new optimism under the new owner. It is now a new era, and it's important that we get this football club back with its fantastic history and tradition back to some good positive days again, and think back to when we were under Larry on that promotion push, perfect 10. We were playing some great football as well, and it was great, successful football, you know. So.
It was, yeah, and I think it was a good balance between, defence and attack. He had a set-up well. It wasn't completely gung-ho, Ian Holloway, we're going to score one more than you, and it wasn't probably Terry Mack kind of, let's see if we can not concede and scrape a 1-0. And you look at those players that he brought in over time, they were decent players, and we played a very good style of football. And I'm sure that's what he'll be looking to implement again. With the players, one or two he's brought in so far, they look quite exciting. So
yeah, so we'll come back. We'll come out to that. I've listed down all the players we've signed, so we'll come up to that later on. I put this out to the fan base via Twitter and Facebook and what have you. And I said, are you happy with the appointment of Simon Grayson? And the response was not as positive as you'd think. It's not obviously a full representation, but it was 66% said yes, 25% no, and there was like a few abstains. Sorry.
Was it that high? I thought it was don't know.
Sorry, it was don't know, isn't it? Yeah.
I think there was only a few no's.
Yeah, there was looks like a 16th of the graph. But yeah, there was. It's like what you said. There was a few people like not so sure
that
about.
Might be purely down to
the Leeds Preston thing.
Well, possibly, but the don't knows might just be down to they want to see what happens.
Yeah.
That's all it is. What backing he gets and how the season starts to unfold.
At the end of the day, for most people, with the only home friendly that we've sort of seen a Simon Grayson team was against Blackburn last week, and to be honest, I thought Blackburn were really good last week, and it was a tough test. And I thought, probably the finishing, they scored a cracking first goal, and but yeah, I thought we held our own really, really well. But we seemed to play 5 at the back, which I wasn't quite expecting. I went up to Barrow, and we didn't do that there. But
he's maybe just trying.
Trying something different,
isn't it? At the end of the day, and I always think that's the time to work these things out, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously on the training pitch, and he's probably thinking
they're going to come at us a bit as well.
Yeah,
So
possibly horses for courses with the opposition and giving people a tryout. And I'm sure for Saturday he's got an idea of what he wants to play and what formation. I think certainly at home, you'd like to think we'll be trying to be on the front foot and playing attacking football.
So just going back to Tim just said this isn't in the notes, but the pre-season friendlies, I generally never go to them. It's like Christmas. I want to save myself my Christmas presents in the morning, see the new squad. But I know you've been to a few games, haven't you, Tim?
Yeah.
Which ones have you been to?
Been up to trying to think now. AFC filed, which was sort of a couple of weeks ago now on the Tuesday night.
What was that like?
I thought, and AFC filed, to be fair, are a decent side. They didn't get to the National League final by not being
two Wembley finals.
If they were in Division 2, they would be mid-table, wouldn't they? You would think. And I thought we played really well. We played a lot of ball on the floor. It was quite attractive football to watch, and it was most certainly a more entertaining style of football than we saw towards the end of last season.
So you could see that straight away, could you?
I thought so, yeah. And probably the players who's impressed me most actually pre-season is Nathan Delfonso. I think he's come out the blocks really, really well for me, and he looked sharp. Went up to Barrow. He was, as well as his attacking play, he was also probably the one who cleared the most corners, because Evo's team were putting a few corners in. They play an attractive style of football as well, very Holloway-esque, which was very interesting to watch.
Yeah,
Long diagonals.
Long diagonals were the order of the day. Well, there was a quite strong wind swirling around, and I spoke to Ian afterwards, and he was saying that we're really used to playing it because it's a particular the way I think the ground's angled towards where the coast is, and so it was a lot of diagonals in the first half, and then very much ball to feet, keeping it on the floor in the second half, and they gave us a good test, and it was interesting to see how Nathan probably got 5 or 6 good defensive headers in, as well as a sort of good goal. He scored a good header from cross for the first one, and then second one was one of the ones where it was Grangelet basically ran down the keeper, and he came off better and ended up effectively being able to put the ball in the net. So
I've always said he's kind of one of our best footballers, Delfonso. So maybe this is going to be his season where he finally realises his full potential.
Yeah, because you can see it, and he's such a nice guy as well. When you have a chat with him, he's got time for everybody. He's the one who always turns up to club events, and I'd be really, really pleased for him if he actually gets that really, really good season under his belt.
Consistency, isn't it?
Yeah.
He'll have a great game and then maybe go quiet for a bit, and it's kind of, you want it more than 1 in 3 or 4. There's a good player in there. It's if he gets a run in the side, like you say.
Sorry, Nick, go on.
Well, this could be his season.
Yeah, I mean, what's his best position? He's always tended to play out wide, hasn't he? But sometimes if you stick him down the middle, he kind of thrives if playing off a certain player.
I think he might work quite well if you have a depending on how he's setting up. But if you have two holding midfielders and then 2 more attacking midfielders in a little triangle with somebody at the top of that triangle, if he's playing off that top man, I think that's probably his best position. And the good thing is he can go down the right and go down the left as well, can't he? So it gives you flexibility. So yeah, I'll be interested, and I think with the backing that hopefully the team's going to get this year from the off. I mean, we look like we're going to have a 5-figure crowd on Saturday, and as we saw last season, the crowd does make a difference. I mean, it must be very soulless playing in an empty stadium, and hopefully, Nathan and a lot of other players are really going to thrive on that, because I think we're going to have one of the best atmospheres, if not the best atmosphere in Division 1 this year at home games. I really do. I think it's going to be something special.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
I mean, because for me, the season starts, the new era does start on Saturday, doesn't it? Although, the Oystons were ousted back end of last season. It was just a bit weird, wasn't it? Just being there. At the games.
It was just a bit of a party, wasn't it? And the games were almost, it was we weren't going up, we weren't going down.
It was a bit flat almost.
Well, it was just, it was a bit weird, wasn't it? But like you say, I think this is now, we've had a proper pre-season. The manager's in.
We've not signed players like 3 days before the start of the season.
Yeah,
it's weird, isn't it?
We've got a new.
What's going on?
The home kit. The home kit's ready for. Moving on.
For the viewers that are watching the video stream, it's going out later. That's the kit that we'll be playing in tomorrow because the other time around. Saturday.
Yeah, well, it was no fault of the club. Reading the statement, it's purely down to the manufacturer, and I'm sure.
So just to rewind a bit, Nick. So what exactly happened for those who don't know?
Well, from the home kits on, I'm sure the players' kits are ready, but for sale.
Imagine if they're not.
For fans, we'll go topless. The home shirts for fans aren't ready for sale. From by the sounds of this statement, I don't think they'd even been started to be made. So don't know what's gone on.
Something's gone horrendously wrong somewhere, hasn't it?
And
it would appear to be at the kit manufacturer, based on the club statement that went out. I think it was rather terse, and
yes, they could tell they were a bit cheap. Well,
you would be.
Of course you are. It's lost revenue as well, isn't it? At a time when you're going to have 10,000 people around the ground on Saturday, and chance to shift a few shirts, and they're not going to be ready. So
are we like under contract for a certain number of years to Herrera? So I would have thought that it'll be the last contract to get.
You could probably argue they might be. I don't know.
grounds for breaking the contract.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cock up, isn't it?
I would say, I mean, you're not going to change your kit
No.
mid-season anyway, are you? But it's pretty unheard of. I mean, I don't know the full details of what happened. All I know is exactly what I've seen on the club website, and it read as a rather terse and a rather gnashing of teeth statement, as in what's gone on. And I know from my discussions when I was in the club shop the other day, they were expecting the kit in. It was meant to be in last Friday. Then it was definitely going to be in for this Friday. So clearly, it looks like there's been a massive admin error somewhere. That's the only thing I can think.
Yeah, and you look at the new sponsor as well, and it's we've had a few sponsors over the years that haven't been brilliant, and and this one, it's one that people would be proud to wear, wouldn't it?
Oh,
And
massively so.
Yeah, so
You're promoting the town, aren't you? You're
Yeah.
promoting the town every time you put the shirt on.
Yeah.
So, which has got it's a massive positivity, and wherever we go, you're effectively telling you're reminding people about the advantages of coming away for a break in Blackpool.
Yeah.
So, listen. At the end of the day, it looks like it's an issue with the kit supplier. It's happened. Hopefully it'll be in before too long. And I think they're bringing forward the start date. I think the away shirts are on sale from tomorrow, aren't they? From what I understand. So they were originally there was going to be a staggered sale with them coming in. I think at the end of August anyway. So effectively it's been reversed, which. It's one of those things. If that's the worst thing that happens pre-season, then
and like you're saying, it's nothing down to the club. It's out of their hands.
No. The orders went. Well, the fact that the away kit's in,
shows when the orders.
The order went in, and the order something's gone wrong, hasn't it? So
maybe the error didn't turn the fax machine on. Well, we heard that before.
Yeah.
But this, if you cast your mind back to the days of the old Vaux and the Bass kits, under those who shall not be mentioned anymore, those former owners, we were always late with getting the kits in. Do you not remember?
Yeah.
It was always never in for the start of the season, or it was very, very late just before the season starts. So kind of used to it. But like you say, it's like if that's the worst thing that happens,
no bad thing really.
It's not that we buy replica kits, though, is it? We haven't got the physiques for it anymore, have we? As we all suck in.
What everybody is going to see, hopefully on Saturday, is a lot of new stuff that they've not seen. I think the concourses are all going to look a little bit different. There's a lot of places that have a fresh lick of paint, and I know they weren't doing the main paint, but the BST lot were in helping do the doing the steps. The repainting the yellow lines on the steps and everything. So I think we are going to see a bit of, there's still a lot to do. It's still a work in progress, and but we will see some positivity in relation to what's been going on over the summer. I mean, the vans that are outside the ground every single day when I walk in or if I'm just driving past. There's, the Community Trust are building a new facility. We've had the new changing rooms.
Yeah,
which
they
look amazing.
Premier League standard, don't they?
That
Is that just the home dressing room or
No,
away
no,
as
we
well?
We should have
just left that.
We should have a very Spartan away one, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
With cold showers. And,
Again, that was the norm back in the Oystons era, wasn't it? Was it against Liverpool and all these top teams?
Yeah, they had cold showers. They were complaining like mad, weren't they?
Fernando Torres would have washed his hair. Yeah, so I think all these new things in the stadium, it's going to be a real eye-opener, isn't it? I did see a cherry picker as well inside the ground. Is that going up, getting rid of some of the rust, or was that?
I don't think the rust isn't been tackled yet.
You can't do everything though, can you?
Well, it's a big job, so
yeah.
And if you're going to do it properly, you probably need a little bit of a window to do it. There's all sorts of things. There's all the rusting vents. There's the facade. But we've got to prioritise sometimes, and there's a lot needed doing inside. For we've got a great anchor tenant in NHS they needed to be looked after. The pitch was a priority. Getting the east sorted is a priority.
Training ground pitches.
I suppose you've got a lot
happened.
I suppose you've got a list of jobs, haven't you? You've got to prioritise priority one.
It's like buying a house
that's
been absolutely left to rack and ruin. It needs the roof doing. It needs rewiring. You've got to you've got to get your plan, haven't you, and go, what's the big stuff, what needs doing, and you get down to the smaller nice-to-haves when you've done the big stuff.
Yeah. So there's a few things that won't be done for day one that are actually already in the pipeline. So, as you know, as most people know, the first 5 rows of the Easter netted off at the moment. We can't use those, but they're going to be sorted out before the end of this month. What's
the reason behind that again?
It's just that the lower sections weather more than the upper sections because they're
exposed.
It's more exposed, and they're basically past the shelf life. So there's been a couple of examples of I've not actually seen it myself of the wood cracking. So what we've done is, for safety reasons, because we have to get a safety certificate for it every 3 months at the moment because it's a
3 months
because it's a temporary structure. We were basically told, erring on the side of caution.
Don't want another fan falling through it, do we?
Net off the 5 rows, and that's all. But we've had to contact the people who originally built it, and they've got the wooden order bits coming from abroad, so we're waiting for it to arrive from abroad. So it's all ordered, sorted, and it's going to be done after Oxford. So
are the away fans, which section of the East are they going to be in?
At the moment, my understanding is they're going to be in the south part of the East until we've got refreshment facilities in the northeast corner, which is a project that's now pretty much near, if not at the top of the hit parade as regards all the things that need to be done. And it's these plans, that's why I was there on Tuesday with a view to getting people down there to make, because we know we want that move to happen as soon as possible, because when we get we're looking quite fortunate actually, because once we get past Portsmouth, what we'd call the really big games, which the Sunderlands, the Boltons and Fleetwoods, where there is actually going to be hopefully this season really big crowds. Their second half of the season, so we have got a little bit of time to play with, but equally we do want that south part of the East available for home fans as soon as possible as the spillover. But also while we've got them in the north, we can't sell part of the section under rollers either, because that's where the away fans will come in.
Okay.
So the sooner that happens, the better. And it's if we hadn't had everything else to deal with, that would have been sorted out over the summer. But again, it was that priority list, and it is very, very near the top. I would be surprised if we're going to go into October without them having moved to the north. But we're waiting for contractors to confirm what it's going to exactly what it's going to cost and when we can do it. And it's it's part of everything else that's going on. If it was, if we had two or three projects due over the summer, that have all been done. But we've had probably 20.
But the rate of the speed of the work that has been done, it's just a mark of Simon Sadler's intentions for the club, really, isn't it? I mean, you compare the amount of work that has been done compared to the amount of work been done over the past 15 years.
Stuff used to get done because night
and day, innit?
When it was absolutely the last option, and it was probably almost like a legal requirement for it to be done.
It's like do you remember the old Cop when they closed? Do you remember the away part? So they've obviously closed the home section, which was a big shame that we lost the Cop. Then when the away end was going the same way, they kind of just halved it. Do you remember they halved it? And then with that corrugated thing, and there was, half-arsed crush berries that they put in the. Do you remember the South Paddock crush berries they put in as well?
Yeah,
really noddy work, wasn't it? But it really harks back to what you're saying there.
Yeah, and it was done almost, out of spite. Oh, we'll have to do it, or we can't. We can't have a league match, and now it's
done for pride reasons, isn't it?
Exactly. And like you look at the videos, even like the video of the changing rooms, it kind of like brings a tear to your eye, because it just makes you proud that we've got owners who care about the football club, and it's amazing. My
mate at work, he's an Oxford fan. He's been taking the piss out of me about we're getting all excited about the training ground, the changing rooms, are you? He was kind of mocking me. My retort to that was, well, if you'd have had owners like we've had for the past 30 years, you'd understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's the little things sometimes. It's rather than even more sometimes than success on the pitch that mean a lot, isn't it? It's actually, those little every time you go to the game, there used to be things that would wind you up and things where you felt we've done the absolute minimum there. And I think that the task for the board and the task for the all those people who work at the football club over the next coming weeks, coming months, is and I said it last season. You know, if we want everybody to turn up every single game and see one thing that's better, and if you're doing that and keep doing that, then we're not going to be doing too much wrong.
Totally agree.
Yeah, right. So let's take a bit of a break now. We'll move on to our new summer signings, and yeah, let's move on. Bit of a crappy sounding chant there, but the sentiment's there, isn't it? Blackpool are back. Bit of a crappy transition there. Must try hard. I might edit that bit out.
You'll have to get your microphone in front of the North, I think, on Saturday, and have a new one for the next podcast.
Yeah. Do you know I used to take my that recorder right there? I used to take that to all the games in the Premier League.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's on the back catalogue. Yeah, I really nerded it out in those days. I recorded the game.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of document the Premier League season because I knew it'd never happen again. Nearly didn't, obviously. We nearly did it again. But yeah, so I've got loads of goal sounds as the goal's going in the ground.
All
So
right.
and I mixed it into the original show. So I might make the back catalogue available again. So
I
if
don't
you've
want to get
chosen
sued.
Right, I need a longer arm here. Hang on. Ugh. Right. New signings. Shall we go on to that?
Why not?
Right, first one. Simon Sadler kind of revealed an exciting signing, didn't he? Suli Kalkai. Is that pronounced correctly?
Kai, is it? I don't know.
I say Kai.
Kai. Right, so we're just going to go through all our new signings, or the kind of the main ones. This is nicked off AVFTT from a post called Abel, who did very good descriptions of these players. So I'll just read this out, and you two can butt in. Not butt in, but just give your opinions at the end. So about Kalkai, Suli, I don't know. He said, I feel Simon Sadler has over-egged this signing a bit, but nevertheless, it's the best bit of summer business to date. I also won't class him as an out-and-out winger, more an attacking midfield capable of playing anywhere across the front line. Loves getting shots from range and has a good record of scoring outside the area. Having done so well in this area in our first season back in the league, we completely tailed off last season, so he should prove a real asset in that regard. He's also a good free kick taker, and God knows we need that. I won't say he has searing pace for a winger, or loads of tricks up his sleeve, but I expect him to cut inside and go for goal a lot more than looking to beat a man and get a cross in. Palace have a decent track record in developing youth, and although his career hasn't gone 100% as planned, he does have a track record of producing at this level. The key for him going forward will be consistency. For me, this is the sort of signing we should be making on a consistent basis. Young, free, and potential to develop. If he doesn't kick on, there's little harm done, but if he does, he can either develop alongside the club, we can sell him on and reinvest accordingly. And he gives him a rating of 4 out of 5. Obviously, we've never seen the guy playing, have we? But I think you have.
Yeah.
What did you think?
He actually, I was speaking about Fons before, and he played a very not dissimilar role that he does in that little triangle with Grangely at the top. He was one of the two behind, and to be fair, I think Abel's called it about right, really, because he has some decent pace on him from what I could see. He looks strong, and it looks like he's got goals in him. So yeah, it's. I think I'll be very, very surprised if he's not in the starting 11 on Saturday. That's for certain. So let's see. But I think again, hopefully he's a player who's going to thrive on. He's going to the type of player that gets people out of the seats. Hopefully, which is what we want.
Got anything to say, Nick?
Well, I'd echo what Tim said there. I think he sounds like quite an exciting player. Has been at a few different clubs, which makes you wonder, has he maybe had that consistency? But hopefully he's found his home by the seaside, and he's gonna do well for us. Sounds like he's got a bit of pace, an eye for goal, and there's potentially a very good player in there.
Yep. Right, moving on to Adi Youssef. He played for Solihull Moors, didn't he, against us in the FA Cup? He says clearly has ability, hence why Leicester took him on a youth, and various footballing clubs have taken punts on him. Can hold the ball up and bring us into game, and can be a nuisance to the opposition defences. Doesn't do either consistently enough though. Too often finds himself on the periphery of games and being carried by his teammates. comes to life in the 18-yard box, although his finishing can leave a little to be desired. However, he struggled massively with fitness throughout his career. He's never been able to cope with the demands of training full-time, hence why he's bounced from club to club and rattled around non-league. I genuinely don't think we'd have looked at him had he not played well against us. Terry taking the Colin Hendry approach to scouting. John Doolan, anyone? Remember him? And a 2-year deal is incredibly generous. I genuinely don't think he'll see the 2 years out and don't see him as an upgrade on any forwards we have. Quite a damning report there, and he gives him 1 out of 5.
Oh, that's harsh. Very harsh, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, I only saw him at AFC Fylde, but, you know, again, he looked like he had something about him.
How old is he?
I'm not sure.
Late 20s, 28? Something. You know?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Well, he might have been a bit younger than that, but
I assumed he was a bit younger than that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But.
Again, he was a Terry McPhillips signing, so you've got to think if Grayson doesn't like him straight away, maybe he's going to...
well, we'll soon find
be
out,
bench
won't we?
warming,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's a gamble, like it with every player. But I suppose it's, you know, for him, it's a very good opportunity, isn't it, to play at a decent level. So I suppose it's down to the lad whether he's got that desire, he puts it in on the training pitch, gets selected, and you know, and has a good run in the team.
And you'd like to think, coming from the likes of Solihull Moors, he may be thinking this is big opportunity to make it in league football.
Yeah, quite possibly, yeah.
So
And you know, then you know they're all going to start to a certain degree on a level playing field, aren't they, with Grayson? Because Grayson's come in, he's got the players he's got the few players he's brought in. But at the end of the day, you know, the opportunity's there. You've got to grab it, haven't you? You know, particularly, I would think that somebody who's played in National League and National League North is going to thrive on the opportunities of playing in front of crowds of 10,000, in some cases 20 and 30,000 if the opportunity is given to him.
Right, moving on. Ryan Edwards. So I don't even remember these. He's quite.
Did he score against us?
He scored for
Plymouth.
Plymouth, yeah. The header.
Yeah.
I think he scored their second one when they went 2-0 up.
Yeah.
Rightly.
Right. So Abel says ticks 3 big boxes for Terry. 1, he's worked with him before. 2, he scouts. 3, he's 6 foot plus. Fair play to lad for beating cancer. Wow. Blimey, I didn't know that. And returning to professional game, a tremendous achievement. I believe he played from nowhere near full. When nowhere near full fitness to help Plymouth out, which says a lot about his character. Fair play to him as well for adding goals to his game, which we're crying out for from centre halves, which can chip in. It's true, that isn't it? He's also relatively comfortable on the ball. All good so far. However, he's frightfully slow, and by all accounts, often has to be bailed out by a pacier partner at the back, which he says tilt if he stays. He ball watches and doesn't use his size to his advantage and really attack the ball when defending. He piles up the bookings, often caused by his distinct lack of pace, and gets his fair share of reds too. It also concerns me that the other clubs, as I understand, to make him offers were Bristol Rovers and Tranmere, 2 sides I expect to be scrapping to stay in this division, rating 2 out of 5.
So he's not been overly generous with these assessments.
He's a bit of a glass half full, isn't he?
I wonder how he knows all this, though.
He does seem, well,
you
pretty well
you
informed.
can't just make this up, can you? Maybe, yeah.
It might just be his opinion, but...
See, from my experience, what I've seen Edwards so far, he looks extremely solid.
What about slow? Was he slow? Was that noticeably slow?
No, certainly. I don't remember anybody taking him on and getting the best of him.
He's centre half.
Yeah, centre half, yeah.
Like I say, if you've got someone who's reasonably pacey and a bit younger alongside him, then, and you know, if he's going to chip in half a dozen goals a season,
that's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
I'm trying to think. Last time we really had a player at the back who did chip in with goals from corners and
Evo maybe. Peter Clark.
Yeah, we are. But he's signed for Fleetwood today, isn't he?
Has he?
Yeah.
Has he really?
Yeah, on a 1-year deal.
Blimey, still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Clark wasn't the fastest, wasn't he? But he scored a...
Yeah, and I think at centre-half, it's not the end of the world. And, you know, he's obviously got a decent experience as well. So, you know, let's give the guy a chance.
Just going off on a bit of a tangent today. I've been off work this week, so I went to visit the DW gym today for free. Yeah. Thanks to Blackpool on the agreement to... if you're a season ticket holder, you can go to the DW Sports Gym for free. And just coming out, the players were coming in as I walked in, and Curtis Tilt walked towards me, and he had a right face on him. He looked really miserable. So, read into that what you may. Maybe he just didn't fancy doing more training.
Well, I was going to say, he might just not like going to the gym.
Yeah, I went and did a yoga session. I did yoga.
Yoga?
Yep. So I got pain in my necks and shoulders, and physio at work said, "Should go and try it." So it's hard. Have you ever done it?
No.
Bloody hard work. You think it's nothing, but
Well, I've been to the physio tonight, as you know, because it delayed our start, and they were jumping all over me. You know, as they do, they literally get right on top of you and start.
Is that like a chiropractor kind of thing?
Yeah, just trying to get myself back on the football pitch. So.
You come to the yoga, Tim.
Actually, I might come to the yoga if it's free.
I'll give you a shout, yeah. Free until the end of the month. But yeah, just again, tangenting again. But yeah, what a great, little bonus for being a season ticket holder. And again, it's a sign of progressive things the club's doing to get people involved.
I'll tell you what I like this week. Did you see Blackpool North Station with, we got the gates,
barriers.
the electronic gates. They're all plastered. In adverts for Blackpool Football Club, which I think look fantastic. And again, because we don't make the most of that. I haven't thought in the past, because we've got such a striking colour as the kit. There's nobody going to think it's anybody else other than Blackpool, would they? And I think it makes a fantastic advertising tool, and hopefully we're going to see a lot more of things like that.
Those sort of things remind me of the build-up Premier League season, because there was Blackpool stuff everywhere, wasn't there? I remember in HMV windows uptown, even the kind of the Blackpool stuff.
A lot of that was people.
Fans.
Businesses just probably cashing in on it rather than this is the club going out and proactively building those links with people. It's
I was thinking of that. Was it the Sun pub that painted itself tangerine that year? And it's all about just being associated, isn't it? But like you say, this is the Blackpool corporate and hospitality team, for want of a better word, going out and doing business with the organisations in Blackpool that you should be doing business with, and we're going to see a lot more of it. We're going to have all sorts of different partners.
There's the stuff with Merlin as well, isn't there?
There's Merlin. There's the health food link up, which I think is they're going to be giving free wraps out to the kids in the family stand this season. So there's all these little initiatives.
Wraps of what?
Like healthy wraps rather than burgers and chips and whatever.
Shouted, is it?
Let's get a link with the Armenian kebab house.
I think Alice will be happy about that one too.
Hey, I had a kebab from Cyprus the other night. It was rubbish. It's like they've really gone downhill. Anyway, I digress. Right, let's get back to the transfers in. Jamie Devitt. Devitt, is it? No. Obviously, has talent and is comfortable on the ball, comes live in the 18-yard box, but where I think he provides real value is creating goals. He's chucked a good number of assists from his career. Is this guy from Carlisle?
Yeah, he was their player of the year for 2 years on the trot, wasn't he?
Right, okay. That said, he can be criminally inconsistent. Although you can excuse some of this because managers have played him in various positions. When he's not on his game, his teammates are carrying him a bit like Yusuf. He's really got a bugbear for Yusuf. That probably explains why only clubs in the division below were looking at him until we came along. Central midfield now looks crowded. Interested to see how this one shakes out. Rating 3 out of 5. Another it's suck it and you see.
And it sounds when he's on his game, he's a creative midfield, which is something we were, lacking in last season.
We had Jimmy Ryan, but obviously injured all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Listen, but the way I look at it is, if you get the player of the year 2 years on the trot, you must be doing something right, mustn't you?
Yeah.
And if that means that you're entertaining, if that means you're chipping in with goals, if that means that you're putting your foot on the line when you need to put your foot on the line, whatever it is, it's like when we look at who our players of the year were this year, that one of them's left the club, hasn't he? Because he's such a talent and he's got an opportunity further up the league. So hopefully he's going to do that for us. He's going to step up to the mark and do for us what clearly Carlisle fans saw in him.
Yeah, good point. Right, Ben Tollett, another one. Where's he come from?
Tranmere.
Okay, another familiar face for Terry. Another Scouser. Another tall player. I like these descriptions, made me laugh. Injuries have derailed him, but there is talent there, capable of producing quality finishes and assists on his day. Lightning fast, and we are crying out for pace, but very weak and gets bullied a lot off the ball. can be frustrating and wasteful in possession. Your typical winger, really. Only ever produced in the conference, so again, a 2-year deal looks generous, especially when you factor in his injury history. Another punt, another underwhelming signing, despite the fact it's good to see us going in business early, 2 out of 5. Another McPhillips signing. Maybe you forget, maybe you won't.
I think some will do all right, some won't. We'll just have to see. It sounds like again potentially there's a good player in there.
It's about again. We talked about it before, didn't we? When we were talking about Youssef, will he seize the opportunities? And we've taken players in the past from non-league, haven't we? I mean, going right back when we took players like Ayres from non-league.
Yeah.
And
What a player he turned out to be,
you
eh?
know, and Tony Rodwell, and more recently Nottingham.
Rodders, yeah.
There's some gems down there.
Yeah.
There really is. It's like having watched a little bit of the National League in when we've been in exile, there's some players down there who would definitely do a job in first division and second division, and have got the ability to step up even further. You know, I mean, you don't. It's not that long ago, is it, that Vardy came into. It was at Halifax and then signs for Fleetwood, and all of a sudden he's playing very high up in the Championship and then in the Premiership. Yeah. So, you know, let's just. For me, I think this season is very much about giving all these lads all the support we can. And to be fair to Abel, you know, he's a very, very. I think his critiques are harsh. Whether they're fair remains to be seen. You know, I think he's not showering praise on anybody at the moment, is he?
Sounds like a hard man to please. Are you going to be burning all your other scarves then, Tim, by the way?
I might keep a couple of the German ones.
Let's get a new name for you now, won't we?
I know.
Tim One Scarf.
It was more pin badges and scarves anyway.
Okay. Is that urban myth, is it then?
It is a little bit of an urban myth.
It was just a catchy title, wasn't it?
I think we've got Phil Ricky to blame for that one.
Timmy Two Scarves. Right. James Husband, so as Tim alluded to there, we've lost Mark Bowler, our best player, allegedly. $1.5 million gone to Middlesbrough, but very good business, isn't it? Had him for a year, sold him for 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what if anything Arsenal got out of that, but you know that if you go into you've got to bear in mind in Division 1, Division 2, football clubs lose money. It's inevitable, and the way that you keep it on an even keel and keep it profitable is to do business like that all the time. Get a player in who does and I was always a big advocate of this, and Holloway started off being an advocate of this before we seem to change, and that's get the players in when the 19, 20, 21. We did it with Charlie Adam when he was 22, didn't we? Get three great years out of them, sell them for a profit, do it again, keep doing it. That's the way. For me, a team like Blackpool, that should be the business model on the pitch, because that's the way that we can operate. We're not going to compete in this league with the Sunderlands and the Portsmouths in relation to the wages we're going to pay. So we get them when they're young, and we pay them appropriately, but not overly pay them, and then make profit on them, and then reinvest it. And that's hopefully we're going to see that's what we're going to do with Bowler.
That's the key
money.
thing. You know, in years gone by, you're selling someone for £1.5 million. Everyone's in uproar because you know where it's going. This time round, hopefully, it's going to be reinvested. Like you say, that's the way to run the football club. You bring these players in, you bring them on, develop them,
and you buy them a woolly mammoths.
And there's always going to be a bigger team, and you get the money for them.
You can't stand in the way. I mean, I have no idea what Mark Bowler's getting wages wise up at Middlesbrough, but I can guarantee it's significantly more than he was getting paid here. Yeah. And he's gone up a massive notch, hasn't he? And I think if you're going to attract players to the football club on the basis of that rationale that we will play you, make you a better player,
and you can further your career,
then you can't then stand in the way when those opportunities come.
And you just end up with an unhappy player, don't you?
Yeah, and
who probably isn't.
It's a win-win for all of them, isn't it? It's a win-win for player, agent, and us. So,
and I think that's probably been borne out by the fact there hasn't been a lot of criticism of the fact that the business has been done, because you can see how logical it is, and you can see how unhappy a player you would have if you because it's like career progression at the end of the day, isn't it? And these lads only have a short career. They could do themselves some serious damage next week, next month. And you've got to let them fly effectively, haven't you? If I think there's a massive difference between doing that with a team who's clearly going to be competing, you would think, near the top of the championship, than letting players leave maybe to go to teams in your division or whatever. That I think as a fan, that's a little bit more disappointing.
I mean, I think Nick's just hit the nail on the head with the fact that you're pretty sure the money's going to be reinvested, and we have sorted out a replacement. All right, it's on a loan deal. James Husband's coming. He has a very good reputation, doesn't he, in the game? Left back from Norwich on loan, and they're going to be paying a chunk of his wages, I believe. Yeah,
I mean I saw he played the second half against Blackburn and look comfortable. It's one we're going to be again. I'm expecting him to start probably. On Saturday. There was a little bit of a talk about is he quite up there and ready yet, but he looks fine to me. But
25. Abel likes him. He's giving him 4 out of 5. He does do a long description of him, but he's a decent player. Didn't he play Fleetwood last season?
Yeah, he was at Fleetwood at one stage.
Was he who was wrestling with Grandulay?
I think it could have been. Yeah. We'll forgive him that.
Right, let's crack on. Ryan Hardy. Abel says some Rangers, isn't he? Young lad from Rangers. I think people may have got a bit carried away with this signing, so I'm going to temper expectations a little.
Surely not.
Is he the sort of player we should be targeting? Yes. He says yes. He's young, potential to develop, has an eye for goal, is hard work, and he came recommended by no more than 3 people the club spoke to. Cannot fault the due diligence on this one. That's good to know. It's also good to see he's willing to spend some money. 250 grand could look like a bargain if he clicks. But like you would imagine, Rangers have a sell-on clause. However, he struggled with injuries in the past, and he's a tall lad. But for a tall lad, he's actually quite slight, and you'd question whether he's capable of playing up front on his own. If Larry intends to play 4-4-2, then the squad looks unbalanced. This is my favourite bit. Scottish football is also notoriously weak. 3 out of 5, but if he's a Peter Crouch style of player, he didn't. Being slighter frame didn't matter to him, did it? To Crouchy.
He looks like he's got some pace on him as well, to me, and it's going to be interesting. We saw a little bit of a montage of his goals for Livingston, didn't we? Because he was out on loan there, and he seemed to score some absolute crackers. And
and like I say, it's maybe not a great standard, but to me, it is the type of player we should be going for. Young, hungry, and he's got a point to prove, and why not?
Well, if you take Celtic out of the equation, and I'd probably say that most of the Scottish Premier clubs are probably in around our level, aren't they? Or maybe bottom end of the Championship. So if he's performing against them, then he should be able to perform on the pitch for us, is what I think.
Absolutely.
And he's probably one of the ones we've got at the moment I'm most interested to see how he actually beds in, because I think he's got the ability, I think, to put the ball in the back of the net on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, that's what we're lacking. And finally, we've signed a goalie from Rangers. We're running out of time, so I won't go on about him.
And we've signed a lad from Norwich tonight, haven't we? On loan.
Have we?
Yeah.
Rocky.
Oh gosh,
Balboa.
It's something like that.
It is. He's a Belgian international, under 19 and under 21 international.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Literally just signed for Norwich, I think, for their under 23 squad, and they've sent him out on loan.
Right.
So
and he's a big unit, apparently, isn't it? So I think there was talk that perhaps we were a little bit light at the back, light of cover. So again, it's going to be interesting to see. But
he's maybe the quick centre half to play alongside Edwards.
Yeah, you never know, do you?
And finally, there's a bit of rumour going around that we're signing that player from Blackburn.
Nuttall. This has been going on for a few days, hasn't it? But I don't know how. There's certainly something in it by the sounds of it. There's a couple of journalists who've been tweeting about it.
He's a striker, isn't he? This guy.
Yeah. It might just be, possibly the fees agreed, and then it's down to the player and the agent, isn't it?
This might be linked, and again, I can talk about because I'm not involved in any shape or form, so I don't know. But maybe this is the player that they might be looking at that to reinvest some of the bowler money. We don't know, but for those who've been trawling around the Blackburn forums, they don't really want to lose him for what I can gather. I think he scored 5 in pre-season.
Yeah, I think it's another one with very good potential and certainly at this level could do very, very well. So it could be money well spent.
In fact, this probably, if this comes off, this could be probably the most exciting signing of the pre-season.
I think if we can get, that's the thing. I think if we get him in, then it's.
I think Ipswich fancied him as well, didn't they? So
potentially, but it's whether I think he's based northwest, so it's whether you want to. It's a hell of a trip down there, isn't it? So hopefully we've got that going for us.
I did have to go on a tractor. See what I did there. Right, on that note, let's move on to club news. Oh, this is flying by, 50 minutes in. Right, so I've just noted down some club news, things that have been kind of going on for the past 2 weeks. We have covered some of it, so we'll just try and rattle through these. First thing, season ticket holders go free in gym. DW Gym have just put that in, which is a great initiative we just discussed. Pitch looking magnificent, ditto training ground, discussed. Changing room refurb. Oh, this is another one. The 5th of August, open training session announced at Bloomfield Road this Monday. Coming Monday at 10:30. Another great initiative by the club just to get people interested and introduce the community to the players.
Yeah, I'm glad to see this because we were originally going to do it during the Easter holidays when we were in the in receivership, and for reasons I don't need to go into, it couldn't happen when we wanted it to, and I thought it was a great way of reconnecting, particularly with those younger fans who really want to, when they come, want to almost feel like they know the players they're watching and they perhaps don't really yet. And for me, it really is a fantastic little initiative that I'd like to see us repeat on a regular basis. So I'm going to try and nip out of work, I think, go and be a big kid myself, I think.
Yeah, well, like you say, it's getting the kids interested again, isn't it? And over the past 4 or 5 years, we've potentially lost that generation, and we've now got the opportunity to get them back, and this is a great way of doing it.
So I'll report back at the next podcast about how that goes on. While we wait for John to come back, I know one of the things he's got marked down here, which I was quite shocked when I heard this. Actually, it was about Kevin Stonehouse passing away at the age of 59, which is no age, is it?
Very sudden.
I don't know what the story is behind that, but obviously for those of a certain vintage, Kevin was. I think
kind of Paul Stewart era, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he played. I got it wrong. I can't remember whether he played when we played City in the Cup in '84. Was that a little bit later?
Yeah.
It might have been a bit later, actually. A little bit later, but he was a no nonsense centre forward, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I'm really really sad to hear that, and condolences to his family.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where do we get to then on the list, Tim? We've done accounts released. Timo ODB to Chris Walker to summarise, I think.
Yeah,
it's a bit too meaty to go on about at this stage, isn't it?
I'm not. I'll be honest, because of my movements this week, work-wise and everything. I've not even looked at them. It's almost like a historic document, really. Isn't
it is, and that's the thing now. It not that it doesn't mean anything, but
it used to.
It used to, and we all used to not look forward to it coming out, but it was because it used to wind you up. But we're in a different place now. It's kind of like, well, it is what it is, but we know it's going to be very different going forward.
I think the little bit nugget I took out of it probably was because Kieran Maguire did a bit of a piece on it, didn't he? And Matt Scrafton spoke to him. Was that the not a penny more was really kicking in? It was like the loss had gone to over 3 million.
Yeah.
Gross of player sales. So it was only the player sales of Potts and I've forgotten who the other one was now. That guy went to QPR. That just pulled it back, but the loss was still about 1.8 million, I think. So, but yeah, it's almost like a historic document. And you sort of like put it in the dust, put it in the cupboard, and it'll be gathering dust now because it's one of those things that the club had to deal with because it's a share purchase by Simon. So the obligation to file those accounts effectively rests with. Well, it initially rested with us and then rested with him.
Yeah.
But it's. I generally think I've no interest really in going into them any
No.
further. It's look forward, not back, isn't it?
I think Finland, no need to scrutinise.
Yeah.
So other pieces of news. Jimmy Ryan released to Rochdale. No surprises there. He's gone, really. A decent player, but too injury prone.
Yeah, if he could have stayed fit, he'd be with us probably and be in the team every week. So it's one of those you'd probably almost offer him a pay as you play. But
I think well maybe the deal offered was something like that.
Yeah.
Again, I wasn't involved, but I think what happened was Blackpool got a good year out of him the first year he was here, and then nothing the second year,
No.
and Fleetwood had him previously, and I think they'd had a very similar experience. So
it's a gamble then, isn't it, to give somebody another contract and they might not kick a ball for you.
it's frustrating a little bit that we haven't really seen him play at the level that we know that we've heard he could do.
Yeah.
Those of us who didn't get the chance to watch him, but yeah, we've moved on. I think we've got some exciting recruits. I think Matty Virtue is going to have a great season this year, and I'm hoping that we're going to have so many different options in midfield, as was said by Abel, that it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's for us. It's getting to know the players again, isn't it? Because obviously we went towards the end of last season, but we were still in a bit of a daydream then, and we've got to get to know the players again, which is an exciting thing to look forward to.
I mean, even the players who all played last season, we didn't really know who they were either. So you're kind of getting used to them as well.
Yeah.
So it's like a batch of two new players. What was I going to say then? Jimmy Ryan. Come on, brain. Can't remember. Oh, that was it. It had just been interesting to have read Abel's opinion on Jimmy Ryan before we signed him. I bet he'd have called all that, would he?
He would. He would.
Get him on
Would he have been? I don't think he'd have been higher than a 2 out of 5, would he?
I think he'd have called him a crock and would have improved his point, I think. Right, this is a very contentious one, the Charlie Adams saga. My opinion of this is I don't like how it all played out. With him going to AFC filed, he must have known the kind of reaction and the tongues that would have started wagging sitting next to the director. It kind of leaves a bit of I don't know. It was also for me like Charlie Adam was touting himself to Rangers on Twitter, then to Blackburn. Then he was tweeting a lot about Blackpool. So, all the stuff we've been through the last 4 years, it would have been a huge boost to have signed him. And I think he kind of played everyone off a bit, all these other clubs. And it really kind of, what's the word? I know. Well, it just annoyed me that he went to the likes of Reading for a few extra quid. I mean, we're not privy to the deal, but can't be that much.
Well, you don't know. I mean, if it was, let's say it was $5,000 a week over
10 grand or whatever. Yeah.
Over 12 months, it adds up, doesn't it? And this is probably his last move.
It does, though.
He's going to be earning that sort of money. And
people do say that, but he's been on a 6-year Premier League contract, and if you've not got enough money by then, I mean, you've got to be a bit of a or you've got to be really.
He wants to still play at the highest level he can. I don't know. I think it's one of those. We were all pinning our hopes on it, but again, I think let's look forward and not back and move on from it. It was probably 12 months too early for both of us. I think if it was this time next year, he's a year older.
It kind of
we've probably not got as much to spend off the pitch, so budget wise we might have been in a better position. In 12 months' time, it might have happened, but it's one of those things. I think with the money we were probably offering him, you could maybe get a couple more players in for that. So look at the positives.
I suspect that's the way the board's looked at it, because
all your eggs in one basket.
And if Charlie'd got injured first game of the season like Jimmy Ryan did, and you didn't see him again, then you've got to remain competitive, and it's not just a case of you can go out and buy another player, because you've got to think about financial fair play, and you've also got to think if you go into a deal like that, you've got to think about the impact on the rest of the squad. Listen, I think
was he offered a deal? Do you know?
I don't know. Is the short answer. There was a lot of speculation on the forums, wasn't there? But I've never at any point in my involvement at Blackpool been involved in player recruitment or any discussions about players. It's just not. I've tended to get involved in the capital project, so. And to a certain degree, it's better that way. And then
Yeah.
you're not
You don't
you're
get
not
the likes.
privy
You don't get the likes of us coming and saying,
Yeah.
"Come on, Tim, what's
Yeah.
going on here?"
you don't get compromised.
Tell us off air.
Yeah. So,
Oh, actually, do just tell us off air.
but I'm generally, I think, I think it's probably the right thing for everybody at the end. I think there was probably a certain romanticism about it coming back, but
Yeah, it's heart over head, isn't it, a bit? And it's probably the right thing. But, you know, the people saying there'd be a boost on season tickets and all that sort of thing, and there may well have been, but let's look to the future, I think.
It did irk me though the way he was carrying on Twitter, or just mentioning Blackpool constantly, and it gets people's hopes up. And I think that's quite poor form, to be honest. So he's gone down in my estimations. Anyway, enough about that. So we're on an hour now. Thoughts for the forthcoming season? Thoughts for Bristol Rovers? We've got a match to preview and we've got a match to look forward to. Isn't it amazing?
We have, and there'll be a decent following from Bristol, probably about 1,500. So that should help with the atmosphere. Obviously, I think they beat us. Was it about 6-0 or something on aggregate last season? I think we had a couple of tonkins, didn't we?
My sister went to Bristol. She lives in Bristol.
In fact, I think it was the first away game as well after we took over as the interim board. And Ben went down there on his own, and we got tonked 3-0. I thought, what a good decision not to go there.
Although I think the lad who scored the hat-trick is a doubt for them on Saturday.
Right.
He's had a minor operation over the summer, and their manager said he's back training, but I think literally just started this week. So Saturday might be too early. So fingers crossed it is too early for him. But it's nice to be talking about it, isn't it?
Anything could happen in the game, couldn't it?
Yeah, 3-3.
I think the interesting thing,
3-3. Yeah, that'll be a good game.
interesting for me is that everybody's buzzing you and texting you saying
Yeah,
where you going on Saturday,
Yeah.
which pub are you going into, which block are you in,
Yeah.
and people are genuinely excited, a little bit like the Southend game in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that, and I think it's going to be a tremendous occasion. It's going to be we maybe won't have quite as many in the Southend, but I think the atmosphere will be as good.
It'd be good to have a 5-figure crowd, regardless.
I don't think there's any doubt that it's going to be 5 figures to me. If I was having a punt now, I'm going to say just under 12,000.
Yeah,
would
I think
be
it'll be
where-
around about
That'd
that.
be great. I did put out to the listener base, but where do you think Blackpool will finish? And I've asked people their opinions, and I'm sorry, but we've run out of time now. This has gone on over an hour. So there's still quite a lot to get through there, so I'll cut that and we'll maybe do it another day. So just very briefly, I asked people where do you think we'll finish. Got a nice little pie chart here. 52% said playoffs, 40% top half, and I can't see the numbers on the small slice of pie. Very small have said bottom half. No one else has said relegation. So I think people are realistic there in their expectations, aren't they? Top half finish.
It's going to be a funny division this year because we've obviously got we've got this uncertainty over Bury, and I can generally see the risk of them not even playing this season.
And
What a
Bolton as
shame
well.
after that little banner they raised for us at a gig line.
Yeah.
You won't want that on a club though.
No,
would you? It's just
I
a
think
small
it's
section of fans.
A couple of idiots in there,
Yeah.
and yeah, you know Bury are like a proper old club, aren't
Yeah.
they? You know they've been around.
Well, it's a good away day as well.
Mm.
It's one you look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's the uncertainty over Bolton as well. I think I would be personally I would be surprised if we're in the bottom half. And you know,
Have they
with
both?
my not with my able head on, but with my positive head, you'd like to think that we'll be nudging towards the playoffs and that we'll have an interesting season. I don't think we're possibly this year going to do a Luton and run away with it or anything like that. But because I think again, you look around, there's some good teams in there. But I'd like to think we're going to be in the mix.
I mean, we finished 10th, so we've improved the squad, haven't we? So you know, on that alone, you'd like to think we'd do better than 10th.
Yeah, there's every chance. I just think, you know, bearing in mind, like I said, what's going off the pitch and what needs to be done, we do need to try and remain relatively patient about it. And I think top 10, you know, would be great. And if we can get that momentum going with the home atmosphere and sneak into the playoffs, then, you know, all good. But I think certainly top half, top 10 is, you know.
So stick your neck out. What's the exact prediction?
8th.
Tim.
6th.
I'll go 5th. So we're in the playoffs. So, and on that note, let's just start winding up. So we've only got a game next Saturday, haven't we? We haven't got a midweek game, have we?
We're Southend away next Saturday, and then we've got Macclesfield at home. I think on Tuesday night.
Tuesday, yeah.
Right.
And then Oxford at home on the Saturday.
Right, so I think we'll come back next week then, shall we? Just to review the day. I think it's got to be done, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll definitely come back next week. And we'll either have an Abel head on or
maybe we should get Abel on.
Yeah, yeah. Like the cut of his jib. I want to know where he gets all this information from. Be interested to see what he thinks of the initial performance. Anyway, so all remains to be said is thanks for downloading, thanks for listening, and up the pool.
Up the pool.
Up the pool.